Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Vulnerability Time. We are officially here in season 5. It's great to be back. Okay, a couple things before we get started. One, please share this podcast. You never know whose life you're going to save by just sharing the podcast. Two, please leave a review of the podcast on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to your podcast from. Please leave a review. It really helps the algorithm. It really helps the podcast, get more noticed and all that good stuff. And third thing, so in the episode description below, we will have the video podcast link. So if you're wanting to watch the video interaction, please click in the episode description below and you will find the YouTube link. And with that being said, let us get started with whatever episode this is going to be, because I don't know what the episode is going to be right now, because this is a pre-recorded intro. Yes. Alrighty, with that being said, welcome to season 5 of Vulnerability Time. I don't know who needs to hear this, but shame off you. Shame off you. Shame off of you. Shame off of you. It is time to let go of the shame. That doesn't mean let go of the learned lesson. Doesn't mean let go of the accountability. Doesn't mean to excuse your actions. It's time for you to let go so that you can grow. If we research how shame impacts the brain, it is insane. It is insane how shame negatively affects the brain. It is diabolical how powerful and complex the brain is. It really is. If I'm being honest with you, I'm not a fan of how powerful the brain is. I'm just like, whoa. I was like, wow, I had no choice in this matter, but now it's my responsibility? What? Anyways, that's just me being vulnerable and honest. But anyways, that's besides the point. The point is, I don't know who this is for. Shame off of you. You know how people say shame on you? Listen, shame off of you. I'm going to speak a little bit to my journey of how I got to the point where shame got off me. I believe that it is a process. I believe that it's a process to reliving shame. And maybe not relieving shame, removing shame. Maybe shame serves its purpose. I don't know. Because what I'm about to say, now that I think about it, I'm like, because of the process / the journey of removing shame from my life, there's so much things that I learned along the way. So here are ways that I have seen, or here are ways that has been a part of the process of me releasing shame. One, apologizing to the person that I hurt, whether I meant to hurt them or not. Allowing them, if they need to, allowing them to verbally hold me accountable. And I got to take all of it. I got to allow them to hurt and be vulnerable. I had to. If it's safe to do, by the way, like I made sure it was safe. Majority of the time it was like over phone or over text, like I reached out or something like that. But I was like, that's fair to their healing journey, and it's fair to my healing journey, their growth journey, my growth journey, and it's fair to, my shame off journey. I just got tired of carrying that shame and that guilt. So I'm going to start off right now, folks, with the shame that was my fault. Whether I made a mistake or a choice, because mistake is accidental, choice is on purpose. Um, whether I made a mistake or a choice or not, I had to apologize. As much as it hurt, as much as they also did wrong as well, I had to apologize. I had to. I had to allow them to hold me accountable. Now, if they whether they accept the apology or not, I know people say this all the time within the 12-step programs of recovery with addiction and just all kinds of things, celebrate recovery, just all kinds of things. They say, yes, apologize. If it's safe to do, if you're able to apologize. And by able, it means like if you know the person's number or if you're able to reach out, if you know their contact information, something like that. Um, Apologize. Whether they accept it or not, that's now on them. That's now on them. The apology acceptance. And maybe they're not ready to accept it at that point. And that's part of their healing journey, and that's okay. That's okay. You know, um that's also a hard truth that I had learned. Well, actually, I'll state that hard truth when I talk about shame that others, I mean, things that others have, others' faults towards me. There we go. What I had to do, I also talked about it with a therapist. I talked about it with people that I can trust. I talked about it with people that I'm safe with. Said, hey, I was wrong for this. I did this to this person. I was so wrong. I said this to this person. I was so wrong. I feel horrible about it. Or I don't feel horrible about it, but I know it was wrong. Form in some way, just giving as much accountability to yourself in a healthy way. You know, accountability is not shame necessarily. It really isn't. Um, there can be conviction that comes with accountability, of course, that helps us learn. But the shame aspect, that just slows everything down. If not, stops it. Um, but the most and biggest important thing that I did, and I'm just speaking for me. How about that? I'm just going to speak all for me. I'm just going to tell my story a little bit. The best thing that I did was not get over my mistakes and choices that I've done. It's get through it. It is learn through it. One of the best things that I could do is learn from my choices, learn from my mistakes, the ones that cause harm and the ones that cause good, learn from it. um that's what I did. Um i had to be I had to be honest. I had to be vulnerable. I mean, I realized that the process of getting to a point where there's no more shame on me so that I can grow and love life more and love myself more, though it was a little heavy at first. It is heavier to stay stuck in shame. I rather something be heavy for like a little bit and then get easier and then finally a weight off my shoulder rather than it be heavy my whole life because I chose or was too scared of the accountability. I was too scared of the weight that I may have to carry for a couple of months. I'm like, honestly, I thought about it. I was like, imagine the weight that someone else had to carry because of my actions. I was like, that is not fair. I was like, no, that is not fair. I was like, I better carry the weight of accountability. And it's just like it helps their healing journey as well. Like it really does. They are worthy of the healing. They are worthy of the growth. They are worthy of the love. It's not their fault what happened. It's not their fault the stuff that I said to them. There we go. Because I used to have a mouth back then. By back then, I mean like up until high school. I used to have a mouth, right? And so I hurt a lot of people because of the mouth. Now, my mouth defended me a lot. However, it also hurt people a lot that it was not their fault. Um, but yeah, I had that honesty there. That honesty. I had to communicate it externally. And for the people that um they either didn't respond to the apology because I mean, yeah, and by didn't respond, I mean, like, for example, I sent a couple messages over Instagram, right? Hoping to kickstart and the apology process, that is a thing. Um, they didn't open the message, right? Understandably so. No one to blame them. Um, so I was not able to contact them. So what I did was I wrote a letter. I knew I didn't have their address or nothing. I wrote a letter as if I was about to send it to them. I know that's very healing to do, is to write a letter of something that you want to say or wish you could have said. To finally get that out of your brain and for your eyes to visually see that words manifest externally. You know? Write it like you're writing it to the person. You know? And then fold up the letter. And when once you have done that, you can either keep the letter and then throw it away later whenever you're ready. You can go to the lake and put the letter under a bunch of rocks. Some random person's going to see it probably, or the water's going to damage it. But the point is, write it down. Write that apology down. I mean, genuine apology. For example, my letter that I wrote, I was like, I was wrong. This is why I did it. It was not your fault why I said those things. I was going through this shit at home and I was projecting it onto everyone. That is not, I want you to know you did nothing to cause that. I apologize. I am willing and wanting for you to hold me accountable, even if it's from your anger. What I caused you that anger. And now that, because that burden that I gave to you, that burden has always had my name on it. It's time for me to carry it now. And it's time for me to heal it. That's not fair to you. That burden never had your name on it. But I gave it to you. I gave it to you. That burden never had your name on it. So, through the power of accountability from my apology, I want to allow you to hold me accountable. Because in that process of accountability, you are transferring the burden that was never yours to begin with. Hold me accountable. By doing that, that places the burden that had my name on it back into the appropriate hands, which is mine. Now it's for me to carry because it was my actions in the first place. And now it's for me to carry. And now it's for me to learn from. It's for me to go to therapy from. It's for me to self analyze, be self aware. It's for me to make sure that I try my best not to do it again. It's for me to dig deeper and say, why did I say these words? Why did I say these words to them? Why did I do this action to them? For those people out there who have done actions to someone. I'm just throwing examples. You know what I mean? Let's break it all down. Let's break down the box of burdens. Break it down. Break it down in tiny pieces so that it can be thrown away in the trash can. you know? But I had to confront it. I had to analyze that box. I had to observe it. I had to. I had to sit and dwell in it for a little bit. I had to feel all of my emotions, that comes with it. Not saying that this happened to every apology letter that I've written, no. Um, but there have been a few where I'm just like, I owe it to the person to genuinely feel bad about this. Not in a shame aspect. You know what I mean? And here's the difference. Here's how I discern shame from feeling bad. I felt bad, and I allowed myself to feel bad, knowing that probably in about 2 weeks, I'm going to make it a point. I'm going to make sure I now start to see areas that I have learned or areas that I can learn. The difference between how I discern, for me, how I discerned bad from shame is that, guess what? Bad and shame might feel the same, but bad, I'm gonna make sure I'm not stuck there. I'm gonna make sure I'm not sitting there. I'm gonna make sure I make something from this. I learn something from this. I grow something from this. I heal something from this. Shame is just sitting there, just horrible, guilt, bad, and it manifested into every area of my life, not healing me and not healing others that I come across. Because shame has manifested so much so that I got used to it, that it became my normal. I didn't even realize I was operating in shame. That's what can happen. That's what happened to me when shame stayed too long. So it was important. One of the best things that one of the best advice that I can give, now I'm talking to everyone listening, is you don't have to heal alone. You don't have to process things alone. You don't have to go through it alone. Just because you can do something alone doesn't mean you have to do something alone. Just because you can do something alone doesn't mean you should do something alone. So whatever that means to you, that statement is going to land on the right ears at the right time. Um, yeah, and guess what? You don't have to know it all. You don't have to know it all. You don't have to be perfect. Just because we're not perfect doesn't mean we're not capable of growth. Doesn't mean we're not capable of healing. Just because we're not perfect does not mean that we are not worthy to be loved, to be graced. Before I go on to the next part of the shame off journey, because there was two sides that I needed to get to in order to get to the point where I can say shame off me. This is no longer for me to carry. I forgot what I was I forgot what I was about to say. But that's okay. I'll remember it. Let's go to part 2. So part 2 of the shame off me was holding those who harmed me or hurt me, holding them accountable. Now it's time for other people that have harmed us. Now it was time for other people that have harmed me. It was time for me. It was my responsibility, because not everything that's our fault. Like, just how about this? Just because something's not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility. Unfortunately. So, for example, what happened to me growing up was definitely not my fault. However, I started to because of what was going on in my household, I started to project um harm onto others. That's when it became my responsibility. When I started harming others because of what was done to me. So, um yeah, that's what I was going to say. But anyways, so yeah, what I did was I sat my mother down at a restaurant. My therapist told me, take her to a restaurant. That way, y'all are on a neutral ground. She's not going to expect it coming. Do not tell her that you're about to hold her accountable. And holding people accountable does not mean yelling at them. That does not necessarily mean that you got to yell at the person. But what I did was, she had no idea. She just thought we were just out for brunch. I held her accountable. I said, this really hurt me. Whether you meant to or not, this action hurt me. When I told you I was abused, when I was being abused, you walked away. You did nothing. That hurt me. It still hurts me. You still do it. This is the thing. Holding accountability is a transferring of burden. If a burden does not have your name on it, it needs to be given to the person that it does have their name on it. That's what I feel. That's what my shame off journeys looked like. Um, though I still dealt with the hurt. Of course, I had to heal. Of course, I went back and forth um, in frustration. Of course, I've held her accountable multiple times after that, boundaries. But that first time was symbolic to my inner child of placing a burden that is not mine to carry, that does not have my name on it, of giving it to the person whose name is on it, returning to sender. So I returned to sender, and though I had to return to sender multiple times, even if the sender does not receive, I still gave. I gave accountability. I verbally said, this is what you did. It hurt me in all of these ways. And I listed like 30 ways, all of these ways. And yeah, held it accountable. For people that I was too afraid to go hold accountable, I wrote a letter. I never sent it. You can send it if you want. I never sent it. But I wrote out everything. I wrote down, how dare you? I hope you die. Get hit by a bus. Kill him, Jesus, kill him. It's stuff like that. Like that was back then when I was like, I don't want to say Christian, but when I was like faith. I'm so glad I'm spiritual now. Oh my God. Yes, that's where true freedom is for me. How about that? Boom. Yeah, but I was like, kill him, Jesus, kill him. I was like, this is how this person hurt me. This is how I wrote the letter as if I was speaking to them. So I was using you statements, you as in the other person. I was like, you are the reason why I tried to kill myself. You are the reason this. You're the reason that. How fucking dare you? I hate you. How dare you? Everything. Even if the thing wasn't like the holy, wholesome thing to say. No, the point of the letter is not to be perfect. The point is to be broken. The point is to be bruised. The point is to be bloody, to come as you are. Everything that burden that doesn't have your name on it, everything that burden has done to you, you bring it to that letter. And then at the end of that letter, even if the letter is 12 pages, okay, like the letter can be as long as you need it to be. And you might have to write a letter multiple times, and that's okay. But I'm telling you, after that first time, it feels refreshing. But anyways, and at the end of the letter, you put return to sender and you put their name. You fold the letter up. You fold that letter up. You can send it to them. Don't send I want to kill you. Do not send that to someone. I'm don't send that to someone. You'll go to jail. um, it depends on the type of letter, if you feel like you need to send it to them. But the point of it is to visually to show your mind and your inner child that you can externally give back to sender. Give that burden that does not have your name on it to sender. Listen, I was a child when so much abuse happened to me. None of that was my fault. I was 3 years old when innocence was taken from me, right? First off, that alone, that burden, that box of burden, that was a steel box. And by steel, I mean that thing had a lot of weight. That thing had a lot of weight for a 3-year-old to carry. And there was obviously more abuse that happened, you know what I mean? After that. So it was just weight off of weight after weight. Um, so writing the letters helped me heal. It helped me return to the sender. when I was too scared to go to the sender, or when the sender was no longer ever just no longer in my life. Just in general, no contact information, none of that. The sender could be a stranger. The sender could be, one of my principals at my preschool, because it was. Um, well, that was one of them. One time my sender were just men on earth. Men on earth. I was just like, I can't believe this is how you run society. Stuff like that. Like, I was just like, men have taken everything from me. I hate this. I hate that. And I also put in the letter, not all men are the same. However, I am mad at all of men. I went my whole life seeing men as unsafe beings that are just full of anger. Yes, that's what I went my life being. So I brought all of that to the letter. The letter does not have to be truthful. The letter can be biased. That's what I mean by not truthful. The letter can be, I hate all men. All men are the same. Like, that's an example that I put in my letter. Obviously, I don't think that now, but because I put that in the letter, that helped my healing journey. And now I know all men are not the same. I don't hate all men. you know, um, but the point of the letter is you're supposed to come vulnerable as you are, the darkest secrets that you haven't told anyone, or the darkest secrets that you've maybe told two people, or the darkest the letter is for you to heal. Do not worry about this, do not worry about the other person. That's not your responsibility. No. It's your time to heal. That burden never had your name on it. You were just a kid. Someone's out there listening. You were just a kid. Those burdens never had your name on it. It is time to give them back, because with those burdens, once those boxes of burden are on there for long enough, guess what starts seeping and permeating from the existence of the box of burden? It is shame that permeates, that is created within burden, that burden that does not have your name on it. It is one thing to take back a burden that you've given to someone and you heal from that. It is another thing when you had no control, no say-so in the burden. That is another thingy. That is one that see that it is time. Hear me when I say to someone listening, shame off you. Whether you made a mistake, whether you made a choice, it is time. I'm about to cry. I'm crying. I'm gonna be honest. It is time. You've carried it long enough. And for the stuff that wasn't your fault, you've carried it long enough. It is time to start your shame off journey. It is time. You've carried it long enough. Shame off you. Shame off you. Shame off you. Start this shame off journey. Start it. There's so much love, light, grace, healing, comfort, understanding, self-awareness, growth. Oh my gosh, just wealth and richness and opportunities, and all this stuff can come about with the removal of shame. Now, removal of shame does not mean throw it on the rug or get over it. It means get through it. Grow through it. And in order to truly get out is to go through. We have to go through. We have to grow through. And I promise you, towards the end of that finish line, I'm telling you it's worth it. I mean, there are days that I've wanted to give up in the past, but as I continued healing, the burden got lighter and lighter. I mean, listen, like, I love my self-love. I love myself greater than I ever have in my life, because shame has been removed. This podcast exists, healing many people. This podcast exists because shame has been removed from areas of my life. I was able to encounter a man of my dreams, someone that I thought I'd never encounter, because shame has been removed. That's another thing. A lot of people are ashamed to love someone just because they have the same sex, or just because people are like, don't love them. Listen, you gonna be happy. I tell you that. You gonna be happy and so grateful that you allowed yourself the removal of shame so that you can love someone that will love you back. This person would be I will blow your mind of how much love you can receive and that you will receive because you remove shame. I'm no longer living for a bunch of other people who are just gonna die anyways. I mean, let's be honest, like, I mean, my parents are gonna die one day. One's near death right now. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm not living for them. No, no. No, their expectations, their burden boxes, their shame that they want to place on me. No, return to sender. Shame off me. That is your burden to deal with. And by your burden, I'm talking about my parents. That is their burden to deal with if they want to stick in shame. But they're not going to give it to me. I'm going to love someone because I am worthy of love. I don't got to be perfect to be worth it, and neither do you. You are worthy of the love. Hear me when I say this. You are worthy of the love. If you walking around, and this is me, I was walking around thinking that I got to be fixed to be loved. I didn't realize that that was a shame response. I didn't realize it. I was like, okay, something's up here. And now look, I'm just like, and now, because I removed shame, I was able to allow them, a man of my dreams, close enough. We're not talking right now. We're not talking anymore. We kind of broke up, but I was able to allow. He is such a blessing. I was able to, because of the removal of shame, I was able to allow him close enough to my heart to show me I am loved, even the dark parts of me. Folks, that is something that I never was shown my whole life, never was told my whole life. I grew up, right now I'm 26. I didn't realize that all of me is worthy of being loved until last year when I was 25. You know how long that's been of thinking that? This is why it's important for shame to be off of you. Listen, you look, I've encountered so many great experiences. There's a lot of money, wealth, just a lot of great stuff. I'm not gonna get all into it because of shame, because of shame being removed off of me. It's time. Someone is listening. It is time. I know it feels weird to let yourself off the hook. You got to start somewhere. Let yourself off the hook so that you can start that journey. Because it is a journey. It is a journey. And trust me, if you could see brain scans of what shame is doing to your brain, oh trust me, I think that will be people's top mission to get rid of shame. I think society will stop saying that stupid statement, shame on you. I think if when society if society could right now just sit together as a collective and see what shame does to the brain, what it does psychologically, looking at the brain scans, oh, society would instantly just be like, yeah, shame off you. They would just go to random people, shame off you, because no, it's ridiculous what it does to the fucking brain. It's ridiculous. Like, shame, you to get up out of here. But yes, someone needs to hear right now, shame off you. Yes, you are worth it. Yes, you are worthy of the love. Yes, you are worthy of the forgiveness. The law of grace is a universal law. I know religion has taken it and twisted it, because there have been a lot of kings and people of power that have twisted, what do you call a Christian scripture? Because Christian, quote unquote, Christian scripture used to be nothing but spiritual, as are all things, spiritual. But religion has put some limits, and lies have been added, taken away, and it's just been a lot. But anyways, the point of the story is, because I know in Christian texts it says all things work out for the good for those who love the Lord. And a lot of pastors say, yep, you got to be a Christian. That's not what that even said at first. That is not even what that was added in there. That shit was changed. Oh God, just knowing what I know about the Bible, it just pisses me off. But this is the law, the original law, which is the law humans of power have just changed it. And I'm just like, well, we're wrong, so it doesn't matter because the law is the law. So this is the law, folks. It's called the law of grace. All things work together for the good. That is the law. That is the universal law. Just that. Nothing added to it, nothing taken away. It applies to everyone. It applies to the universe. Everything will work out for the good, whether it's in this lifetime, whether it's in next lifetime, whether we see it or not. What people wronged me. People have wronged me so hard that it caused me so much trauma, so much depression, so much suicidal thoughts. You know what I mean? But because of that depression, suicidal thoughts, I've encountered people that I didn't even know I stopped them from killing themselves. I didn't know it until they told me. All things, all that hurt, it took all that hurt for me to be honest and open about I want to kill myself. Things like that. Those are things that I said in the past. I'm not saying I want to kill myself now. Thankfully I don't after my spiritual awakening. I love it. But it took all that trauma for me to be honest. Because of it took all of that. Not any more, not any less, but just that right amount of tons of trauma, because it was. That pushed me, that provided that pressure for me to be honest. And that honesty healed others? That honesty stopped 6 people from killing themselves that I know of. I mean, it works for the good. All things work for the good, whether we feel it, see it in this lifetime or not. That's also why I think it's very important to be vulnerable, because our pain does not have to go in vain. Our pain could be someone's purpose. Our pain could heal others. Our pain does not have to go in vain. That's why I think it's important to be honest, vulnerable, and open with others, because what we're going through, we might save a life because someone else is like, I'm not alone. I just learned from you, or you stopped me from continuing this relationship I was in because you were vulnerable with me. And now you saved me 3 years of hurt. Stuff like that. I'm just using an example. I'm sure you can think of a better example, because I know there's better examples out there. But someone needs to fucking hear. It is time for you to start your shame off journey. It is about that time. You're getting too old. Let's just cut it straight. It's about that time. You have an inner child in you that is worth the love. Do not neglect that inner child. Do not put that burden on that inner child. Do not. That's a little kid inside of you. That little kid deserves love and is worth love. That little kid does not deserve a burden that does not even have its name on it. It's time. I give you permission. If someone's needing permission, I give you permission to let yourself off the hook so that you can let yourself learn and grow. Okay? I give you permission to go apologize to that person. I give you permission to go hold someone accountable. I give you permission to write that letter. I give you permission to love yourself. I give you permission to have grace on yourself. I give you permission to not be perfect. I give you permission. It's time. I say I give you permission because I remember once upon a time I needed anyone, even if I didn't know them, I needed someone to tell me, I give you permission to love yourself. Boy, that would have saved me years of stuff. But if someone told me it like 6 years ago, this podcast wouldn't even exist. So everything works out for the good. But still, you get the principle, you get the point that I'm trying to make here. Whoever's listening, I want you to know that I love you. We are all spiritual beings, and I love spiritual beings. We are all spiritual beings living a human experience. Once we are out of this body, we are nothing but love and enlightenment. Um, so my higher self, which is my spirit self, is telling you, I love you. I genuinely love you. I don't know you humanly. I don't. But my higher self, our higher selves know each other. We come from love, and we will return to love. You are worth it. You are worth it. It's okay to start on the process of releasing the shame off of you. With that being said, this has been another episode of Vulnerability Time. I am your host and published author, Josias Abril. Please check out my book on Amazon. It's available in every territory. Link in the episode description below. And stay tuned to hear a little bit more about it. But if you need help releasing shame, I'm telling you, that book is the book for you. And you can write letters. It's a journaling book with prompts. It's a self-awareness, interactive journaling notebook. You will get healing. There's no way anyone will come out of that book and not heal. There's also a lot of blank pages at the end that are without prompts for you to write letters if you need to. There's a lot of space to write those letters, okay? So, whether it's a letter to yourself, whether you got to release shame from yourself, from what you did to yourself, what you did to others, or what others have done to you, that book is definitely for you. With this being said, I'm your host, Josias Abril. Thank you for supporting. I love you. Shout out to the Netherlands and New Zealand for being, and Hong Kong for being the most recent places that this podcast is heard in. Shout out to y'all. Hong Kong, New Zealand, and Netherlands, and Nepal. Also, thanks, Nepal. And with that being said, stay tuned for whatever the next episode will be.
Hello, everyone. Before we end the video, I would love to announce, and I am proud to announce, that my second book is available now on Amazon. It is called Wounds into Wisdom, Self-Awareness Interactive Journal Notebook with Prompts. If you love learning about yourself, if you want to, go into more self-awareness, if you want to talk to your inner child, if you want to just talk to yourself and, find out new things, this journal notebook with prompts is for you. It is interactive. It has spaces where you can doodle or draw anything that symbolizes, the prompt. You are able to interact and conversate with these prompts in the journal notebook. And it also has space at the end for you to just journal, if you would like to just journal. But yes, these prompts in the book are very wise and thought-provoking. It will make you think, I have never thought about that before. I did not recognize that in my life until now. These will blow your mind. These will drop your jaw in a good way. But yes, the link to purchase the book is on Amazon. The link will be in the episode description below. Also, thank y'all so much for making it to the end of this episode. I challenge you to send this podcast to at least one person. You never know whose life you are going to save by sending this podcast, because they might send it to someone else who really needed to hear it, and that person's life will be saved. Because remember, the point of this podcast, in general, Vulnerability Time, is what if someone's on their way home to end their lives, but because they listened to a special guest, or to me, because they listened, they decide to live even if it's just a little bit longer. This is a life-saving podcast, folks. And yeah, thank y'all so much. And I will see y'all next time for whatever episode that will be, because this is a pre-recorded outro. Already love y'all tons. Stay amazing. I'm proud of you for still breathing on this earth.